to this debate. Either extend the benefits now, help those in need immediately, or wait and extend the benefits when we figure out how to pay for them. That's more of the Republican side. Rob Shapiro is a former Undersecretary of Commerce and one architect of the 1992 Clinton economic program. Steve Moore, the senior economic writer for the Wall Street Journal. And gentlemen, great to have you today. The core question here is what is best for our economy right now? Steve, what do you think?
Well, first of all, I have to say that was one of the most depressing Rose Garden presentations I've ever seen. It reminded me of sort of Jimmy Carter's melee speech. I mean, it's the president's own failed policies that have failed to create the jobs that we were promised when we spent nearly $1 trillion on this stimulus bill. And for the president then to blame the Republicans on his own failed jobs program, I think is really beneath him. But I think the real point here is, you know, there's the question about whether we should continue to extend unemployment benefits. It's important for the viewers to understand we've extended unemployment benefits 4 times in the last 2 years. Workers are now getting up to 2 years of benefits. This is supposed to be a temporary program. And furthermore, why don't we at least, if we're going to do this, what the Republicans are saying, at least if we're going to spend this extra, say, $30 billion to extend unemployment benefits, let's cut other programs to pay for it. Let's not continue to borrow.
Rob, Steve's bringing up a very important point about where you actually draw the line. What is a reasonable expectation if you're unemployed for how much government support you're going to get? Right now, it's upwards of about 99 weeks at the most. Should we think even more than that?
Well, it depends on the conditions. The fact is that recessions that follow financial meltdowns, a meltdown created by the economic neglect and mistakes of the previous administration, those recessions are unusually deep, unusually long, and the recoveries are unusually slow. So this is not a surprise. This is not like a normal business cycle. It's not. It's a business cycle created by the deep and vast mistakes of the previous administration. So we have higher unemployment and longer unemployment. But from my point of view, first of all, the president, as opposed to his predecessor, has pledged to freeze discretionary non-defense spending for the next 3 years. So he is showing fiscal responsibility. The Republicans, who say that this has to be paid for at $33 billion, have no proposal to pay for the reenactment of the tax cuts for the rich that will cost almost precisely 25 times as much over 10 years, $826 billion. So there's no economic principle involved. There's no policy principle, since repeatedly they supported extensions of unemployment benefits during the Bush administration.
So Rob,
that leaves us with politics.
Rob, here's the problem. The president said in his speech, here's my economic recovery program. We're going to give tax cuts to small businesses. And yet what's really frightening small businesses, as you know, Rob, is that on January 1st of 2011, taxes go way up on small business. Capital gains taxes go up, dividend taxes go up, the small business tax goes up. How are you going to create jobs when you're going to raise all those tax
Steve,
rates
let
on
me
the very
stop you
small
right now.
businesses?
And Rob, let me give you a chance to respond to that as well, because it gets back to my original question as well. What's a reasonable expectation for how much unemployment benefits we actually provide to the public, given our debt situation is what it is, Rob?
Exactly.
Well, it depends on what's the state of long-term unemployment. Look, this cycle has produced the largest percentage of people who are unemployed being unemployed for a very long time. So we have to adjust these expectations based on the nature of the economic cycle, which is not something that people who have been out of work for 2 years created. They're the victims of it. They're not the creators of it. And so we have to respond to that. But the notion that we can't find $33 billion in a slow economy, incidentally, where we probably need more stimulus, in order to help people who are trying to keep their families in their homes, struggling to find jobs, it just strikes me as nonsensical.
Steve,
and I think it's bad politics as well as bad economics.
Steve, I'm going to give you the final. Hold on, Steve. I'm going to give you the final word here, because unfortunately we're going to have to wrap things up, Steve. But it is a unique environment. Rob is pointing that out. We've basically never seen a recession like this before. How do we handle it? Our friends, our neighbors are out of work and they're not getting hired. So what do we do?
There's no question. It's a horrible economy. The president's policies to bring unemployment down have not worked. The president said if we passed this stimulus bill, we'd have an unemployment rate of about 8%. We're closer to 10%. And all Rob is saying is do more of the spending that got us into this crisis. Read the report, Rob, that the White House came out with in January of 2009.
When he took office, we were losing 700,000 jobs a month, and now we're creating jobs.
Rob,
we are now creating jobs where we were losing 700,000 a month because of the neglect and mistakes of the Republican administration.
And we've lost 2 million jobs since the president's stimulus plan took place. It's not working.
All right, gentlemen, appreciate both of your perspectives.